Hi everyone, welcome to week 8 lecture. Today's lecture / commentary is very short. Okay, so for the glossary entries, the timestamp, adding a timestamp is mandatory. So some people still just put a reading reference and tend to just not to include the timestamp. But timestamp is a mandatory to show where the term was mentioned in what presentation or lecture, right? So, but just adding only the reading reference, what page on what reading, you're free to do so. But you add the reading reference but miss the timestamp, then you will not get a full 2 point, right? And regarding the timestamp, you have to put the correct timestamp, when it was mentioned. Sometimes I go to the the spot that you said it's 3 minutes 20 seconds in the term was mentioned, but I cannot find the term, but then it is incorrect timestamp, right? So to get a full point, please make sure that or double check or triple check your timestamp is correct, right? And there are a few people still adding a space after the colon, right? If you put a space after a colon, the system will think it's a different term, so your numbering will mess up, right? And if you see your term is defined once, then you have to put number 2. If you see your term, same term was defined by 2 other people, you put number 3, right? And please use a dictionary form for the term, right? If the term happens to be a verb, don't put like a S, like for the third person singular. If the subject is a third person singular, you add S, right, after the verb. Don't put an S, because then the system will think that it's a different term, right? So use a dictionary form. When you look up the word in the dictionary, there will be no S, no, it should be the dictionary form if it is a verb, right? Okay, that's about it that I wanna talk about the glossary entries. And this week, Group 5 and Group 6 made their presentation. And Group 5 used some create format, and their PPTs were excellent. And it includes some moving clips, moving images. That's always really good. And editing was really well done. And then the verbal delivery was really good. But I found some sections were kind of spoken a bit fast, and intro was also creative. And 3 themes or 3 statement, 3 argument was thorough and covered the 3 argument thoroughly. And the connections to the other course readings clearly show the relationships. And if you're not sure for the future, groups, please refer to this group's course internal connection section to have some ideas on how to show the relationship between your reading versus the other course readings, right? The external resource connection section need to show the connection relationship more clearly by saying what is the relationship between the reading and the external sources. And great discussion questions and answers, and the way those were presented was really fun too. And the division of labor, please don't forget adding who edited, right? Not only just showing which member did what section, but I think the editing may be done by a few individuals or by one person, right? So editing is a major work too, right? Not only recording or summarizing the readings and coming up with the content, right? So the editing work, how the editing was done, need to be presented. And the reference list, it's good to add this reference list at the end, but some of the resources or readings or articles listed in the reference section, you need to show in text where that resource was mentioned in the presentation, so that this resource was mentioned in this part of the presentation, right? So I think some need more clarification in this aspect, but overall Group 5 presentation was really excellent. And Group 6, the news format at the beginning was very promising, and the music, the intro music was impactful and all that. But I found that throughout the presentation, the news format could have been more utilized more effectively than just as it was. And introducing the group members as reporters or some commentators verbally, and the table of content also introducing the table of content verbally would have been more helpful. And the 3 argument and statement section, I think it covered a lot of content, but it need to be like presented in 3 subsections more clearly. So I found that section need more organization, so that audience can see that you're talking about the first argument now, or you're talking about second argument or third argument, and so on. And the relations to the course content, that section needs some in-text citation to show that which readings are you making connections to. And then also it should match the at the end of the presentation, the reference section, right? And the external connection, you made a good choice of an article about like the middle-aged woman K-pop fans in Malaysia, and the connection was well made as well. And great discussion, questions and answers, but again, the answers, if you verbally introduce the answers, will be more effective than just, oh, here is the answers, right? And you're asking audience to just read it off, right? Okay, thank you Group 6 and Group 5 members for making your presentations. And I just want to comment on how to make smooth transitions and how to make your your presentation flows well, right? Flows smoothly, right? So at the beginning, you're probably introducing the table of content is always helpful. I mean, adding the table of content is a must, but instead of just, oh, here is the table of content and move on to the next section, instead of doing that, if you verbally introduce, it's worth spending the time verbally introduce the table of contents, so that you give an idea to your audience what's coming, right? That's one thing you can do. And also, you have subsections, right? At the beginning or at the end of each section, you can very briefly introduce this section, it's the first of the 3 arguments, and things like that, right? Just remind the audience where you are in terms of the presentation. And then at the end, you can say, oh, next so-and-so will present so-and-so, things like that, so that you also prepare your audience about, to get ready for what's coming next, things like that, right? Okay, so today, as my short lecture part, I want to talk about Iwabuchi. He's a well-known scholar in terms of the Japanese popular culture phenomenon. So before the Korean wave, Japanese popular culture had been very popular, especially in their Asian neighbors, and not only in Asia, but in the West. And it is still popular. Japanese popular culture is still popular, right? But in terms of the Asian region, the Japanese popular culture precedes the Korean popular culture. In the 1990s, Japanese popular culture has been really popular in Asia. And to understand why Japanese popular culture became so popular, why is it popular? Iwabuchi published a lot of books and articles, and his analysis was very thought-provoking, I would say, and it gives a lot of insights. So I want to introduce his thoughts a little bit here, and that is highly relevant to understand in understanding the Korean wave. So according to Iwabuchi, among many Japanese people in general, they see the West as the modern other to be emulated. So you have to, imitate this West. You want to become the West. It's other, of course, They are not, Western, right? Western people, but they're really modern, other that you want to become, right? But the rest of Asia is like, Japan's past, before Japan become modernized, right? It kind of signifies like something lacking, like a modernity is lacking, and something, poor, right? So according to Iwabuchi again, like a Japanese identity, like a lot of Japanese don't consider them as Asian. They are not Western, but they're different from other Asians. They're, modernized faster than other Asian countries, and they made huge economic development too, right? So they don't see themselves as Asian, right? So like there are three, groups: Japanese here, the West, and the other Asians in the mindset of Japanese people, according to Iwabuchi, right? So then, why it's relevant to the popular culture, right? So he studied these Taiwanese fans of Japanese dramas, right? These Taiwanese fans, they like Japanese dramas because they feel like they're living the same time, same modern time with other Japanese people by consuming these dramas, right? So now the economic gap is narrowing. Japan is still economically more, developed, but Taiwan is, catching up. And, this information is simultaneously circulated in Japan and Taiwan, and global commodities like Taiwanese people consume something Japanese people consume too, right? And they also have shared common experience of urbanization. So Taiwanese people watch Japanese dramas feeling that we are living the same time, like the same modern time, right? But then, how about Japanese audience of like a Taiwanese dramas, for example, or other Asian pop culture? They see more difference than similarity. So Japanese audience, for example, Winter Sonata, it's not like, those Koreans live like same like a life like ours. It's not that. That's the similarity part. They don't see the similarity, but they see the difference. Like, they still keep this innocence. They still keep this pure love. Oh, that's what we lost because we were so modern, right? So the focus is the difference. They found difference, not the similarities. So because in their mind they're more advanced. They're more more modern, right? And other Asians are kind of still behind. So what they find is when they consume like a Winter Sonata, something they have lost, right? So they focus on more nostalgia rather than contemporaneity, right? So how interesting, like a Taiwanese people consuming Japanese dramas versus Japanese people consuming Korean dramas, why they like these dramas, or what they focus on while watching these dramas are different. Like other Asian, Taiwanese, the similarity. They like having this similarity with Japanese, right? But then for Japanese audience, their focus is different. We are, better. So we are more modern. They still keep this cute innocence. We lost it. I have this such nostalgia for what we have lost, right? So then, how that is relevant to the Korean popular culture, not only, in terms of how Korean dramas were perceived by Japanese audience, but for Koreans, they export a lot of dramas, whatever pop cultural product, to other neighboring Asian countries, right? But in return, they don't consume this product from other Asian countries. Maybe they have consumed some Japanese products and some Hong Kong films, but they have now really consumed a lot of Asian product from other Asian countries, right? Then if they do, what will they find, right? Will they find difference, or will they find similarity, right? So my guess is that if Koreans started consuming other Asian pop culture product, they will find like a more difference, like Japanese audience did for Korean dramas, right? And but then other Asian, countries other than Japan, like when they consume, K-pop, or when they consume Korean dramas, will they focus on difference or similarities, right? So it'll be more similarity, right? We are like as modern as Korea. We are living at the same time period. We're both modern, things like that, right? So it's a very interesting theory by Iwabuchi that it can be applied not only the Japanese popular culture, the popularity, but it can also apply to the Korean wave. And this is it for today's lecture, and thank you so much for your time.